What's the purpose of being fit? What's the purpose of pushing yourself?
To not give up, to keep trying. To me, that's strength. To pursue success through failure.
The end of our lives is always coming towards us, right? We just gotta decide what we want to do with it.
For me, there's almost nothing I love more than not knowing what's going to happen next.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Fred Thomas, and you are watching All Things Bike. And today we are speaking with Jesse Wall, the owner and head coach of TruStrength Athletics. Jesse, thanks for coming down.
Hey, thanks, Fred. I appreciate it.
Hey, we didn't have time to talk about Iceland in our previous segment, but we're going to talk about it now. Give us the background. How did you hear about this wild race around Iceland, and what are the stories here?
Well, as we talked about before, TruStrength is really a community-based thing, and so I'm always looking for projects or things that will get people outside of the gym, use their fitness for something else, and advance the community, right? Build those relationships. And so I was looking for a reason to take us to Iceland, actually. One of our members requested it. They said, we gotta have a gym trip. We gotta have a reason to go to Iceland. I'm thinking,
it's not that far away.
How am I gonna do this, right? And a friend of mine had actually raced the WOW Cyclothon right around the same time I was looking for it. So she and I started passing around ideas, and she was telling me about her experience, and I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. You know, it's a great team building exercise. You know, it's going to take us to this beautiful place. It sounds incredibly difficult. This is right up our alley.
Yeah, perfect. And so, describe the event. I mean, how long is it? What's the terrain like? Take it from there.
Yeah, so it takes place in Iceland, rides around the ring road, which is the main traveling route around Iceland. It takes place in July, in June, early July, so right around our Independence Day. For them, it's 24 hours light, right? So sun doesn't set. But it's still only about 45 or 50 degrees most of the time. And the race is approximately 850 miles, and it's continuous riding. It's around the clock, 24 hours, and it is a relay, but unlike traditional stage racing or relays, you hand the baton anywhere you want, as many times as you want.
I see. So you've got how many? 12 people, and they're rotating through, riding all day and all night. And then, so what are the other team members doing while the one guy is riding? Are they in a van, or are they waiting somewhere?
Yeah, so you can have as many as 10 people on a team. There's several categories. There's the insane category of solo, where you have some support riders. So Freddie, we can sign you up for that. That would be interesting. You'd like tape your eyelids open.
Start hallucinating.
They've actually had that happen. Support riders have taped people's heads and their helmets back because they can't hold their heads open. So we're in the 10-person mixed category. We had 5 females, 5 males. And there's so much to do besides ride. In fact, the riding was the easy part because you're shuttling the people ahead in a sprinter van. So you have a few people in there, and then you're trying to rest some people also in an RV. So you have an RV racing ahead, navigating, pulling over quickly, taking an hour snooze. Then the logistics are that then the van and the RV have to meet up at some point to swap out riders. Riders are swapping about every 5 to 10 minutes. So we're just constantly shuttling ahead, throwing someone on the side of the road.
Oh, really?
Get on the bike, sprint your guts out.
Oh, is that it? So I see. So it's not like I think the Race Across America where you take over for 6 hours and your buddies, because you've got 10 people. So it's really that quick. Wow.
Yeah. So that was it was a kind of a surprise to us.
Yeah.
Right. And that played into how we were trying to strategize
that
training
was your strategy, all right.
and how we planned for it.
Right.
But even then, that plan went out the window right away because we were one of very few USA teams on a USA strategy, and most of the teams are Icelandic and they have a strategy. And if you were not going to work together with other teams drafting, it was very quick for us to fall behind. And you need to be on almost their cycle pattern when they're putting riders on.
Oh, I see.
And so it was eye-opening fast for us as to like where our flaws were in our preparation, having not done it before. And very quickly, our 20-minute efforts, we based our training off of RAM.
Yeah.
The winning teams kind of riding really hard for 20 minutes.
Right.
That quickly got reduced sometimes to 5-minute efforts, 7-minute efforts, 8-minute efforts, and just gut-busting, quad-busting, sprinting.
I can't imagine. So I mean, how did people recover? I mean, did they try and sleep, or are they, giving themselves a leg massage, or what are the stories of supporting something that frantic?
So there wasn't much recovery. I think we had one person who accumulated 4 or 5 hours of total sleep in the 48 hours. Most of us went on about an hour somewhere. So 36 hours in, somewhere you're crashing just because out of necessity. Your body just can't quite stay awake any longer. Yeah. And you're sleep deprived. You're computing tasks, whether you are communicating with the other vehicle, navigating the route, dropping people off, fixing bikes, trying to figure out where we are in the order and the rotation, making food for the people that are coming off the road, trying to get rest. It just went from job to job to job about every 10 minutes. And the sun never set. You couldn't really tell what time it was or what day it was. So very quickly it became very disorienting as to where we are in the race.
Yeah, but it's still fun on some level, right? I mean, people are
gloriously fun.
Right.
Gloriously fun.
And what was the weather like? I mean, was it raining or just overcast, or what was?
It's kind of like New England. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to switch on you. In fact, I do think being a New England team really helped us because we trained through winter and spring, especially. Leading into their summer, which is very New England spring-like.
Right.
So 1 minute it's 45 gray, raining. We'd ride through 6 hours of coastal rain, just freezing, then pop out and it'd be gorgeous blue sun.
Right.
Or then it would be 40-mile-an-hour crosswind.
Wow.
And you'd be coming through these just unbelievable landscapes. So we'd be riding next to glaciers and icebergs and cliffs and peaks and puffins and everything.
It's just totally. It's just not in any way remotely related to what we see around here. And I mean, I guess so. You're distracted on some level. Like instead of seeing, the green trees and the churches and the scenic vistas of New England, you're seeing lunar landscapes, and I suppose that helped distract the mind. But I mean, what about the training? I mean, how much were you on stationary bikes in February, or were you doing specific weight training drills for this?
Yeah, so like you and I discussed previously, we started about 9 months out when we put the team together and decided we were going to do it. And so we did 3-month block phases, where the first 3 months we really prioritized strength training. For myself, being a strength athlete most of my life, there's not a whole lot I stand to gain in terms of performance by training heavier for cycling.
Right.
For me, it's more about the technical side of I need to be on the wheels. But for a lot of our team, there's a lot to be gained more than just riding at the early stages of force production, so that stamina becomes actually easier down the road.
Right.
So we did lots of weight training, a lot of team building stuff. Because we knew that there'd have to be this sense of communication.
Absolutely.
Lots of short burst stuff, because we did anticipate that we weren't out for 6-hour ride or even an 80-mile ride. It was going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mile efforts, hill sprints, that type of stuff. So interspersed games where we would put our spin bikes in a circle and play kind of musical chairs where we spin really hard. And then you pass out the baton doing burpees. So I would jump off my bike and I'd have a certain number that I needed to do before I could get back on.
Right.
And if I was caught off my bike when the music stopped I'm out, and then
Yeah,
we kind
right.
of do that little team game. So a lot of team building, a lot of fun stuff, and a lot of, like I said, strength-based beginnings.
Yeah.
Spinning, but not an immense amount. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people would predominantly try to spin,
Yeah.
and I think there was much more for us to gain in core strength and leg strength and even upper body stamina.
Wow, that's great. And what did the European teams sort of make of all this when they saw you sort of rotating every 5 minutes? Were they confused or?
Well, it's interesting. The Icelandic strategy is they kind of categorize their riders in the teams of 10, A, B, C. The very, very strongest as A's. They're moderate, really good riders as B's, and the weakest but still good riders as C's. And they came up with a rotation of A goes out, B goes out, A goes out, or A goes out, B goes out, C goes out, A, B, and start back at A.
I see.
We were in a sequence of working with partners where if you and I were partners, you would do a 20-minute segment, I would do a 20-minute segment. We'd pass that back and forth for 2 hours before we'd change pairs out.
I see, yeah.
And we found out very quickly that when we finally caught teams to draft and work with them and go in rotation, we were off sequence. All of a sudden, they'd be all out A's, we'd be working with 3 teams and they'd have A's, and we'd have a C out, or they would have all C's and we'd have an A,
Right.
and we'd be pulling away, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
is this a race? Is it not a race? Like,
Yeah.
well, how are we going to approach this? And it took us about a day to finally communicate with other teams and figure out, oh man, we need to reshuffle some things and think on the fly.
Well, no, that's great. Well, now you know, and you're ready for next year. But how did you get the sponsorship support for this? Because you didn't do it on your own. You had, I think, Eimskip, the Icelandic shipping company, get involved. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we had actually an overwhelming amount of sponsorship and support through local businesses and just local friends and stuff like that. And I think it really goes back to a couple things. Eimskip has a natural connection with Iceland, right?
Right.
And they're a sponsor of the race, and just happens
okay.
that they really wanted to be well represented. You
Yeah.
know, a Maine team
Yeah.
in Iceland trying to win.
Yeah.
And that was a big piece for them. But a lot of our local businesses, what the message resonates with them is, again, this sense of strength of community, right? That the fitter you are, the more your life opens up,
Yeah.
right? The more opportunity you have. And the more connected you are to other people, the more opportunities open up. I would have never found myself racing around for 48 hours in the middle of the night in Iceland if I wasn't, fairly fit and had a connection to a bunch of people who were also just as crazy and also wanted to do something that's like wild and outside the box. And so that resonated with business sponsors as to say, we believe in local community. We believe in relationship. Like, we believe that your life should be something awesome that's made awesome by other people, and so they just want to be part of that story.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it's totally inspiring, and it was still fun. But yeah, it definitely got you out of the box, out of the routine, and that can be empowering too. I find, trying something new. Well, are you going to do it again next year? Is there a plan for that, or are you still sort of thinking it over?
Well, we've got one of our female riders had actually threw out the crazy idea of doing it solo. And
It's a long ride.
Yep, and she's got the guts for it. I think she's done a full Ironman before, so she has that kind of crazy long distance endurance thing in her brain.
Yeah.
Some have talked about potentially returning, but it was a massive undertaking, way beyond the racing. The racing was really kind of the easy part. The logistics of traveling there with the bikes, to figure out how do you get them over there. How do you find a trailer to haul them around on? How do you find vehicles? How do
Yeah, cell phones and all that stuff.
The whole thing. So logistically, it was a huge, massive project. Next year, what we're really hoping to do is kind of celebrate with, the team as we kind of roll out a film, a documentary that's being done about the whole thing. So we had an incredible documentary company take interest again in this story of community through fitness. And Kitestring Productions out of Boston, John Mercer and his crew, unbelievable. I mean, as tired as we were, these guys were up just as much. There was only 3 of them, and they were filming the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
And it was just amazing. So we're going to be rolling out film next summer, hopefully, from Boston to Bar Harbor. Looking for some tour dates. We'll definitely have a couple showings around Portland area.
Oh, that's great.
And that will be a big thing for us, is trying to raise awareness of not only the race, so that other teams from Maine might go over there and do that and experience it, but also just, again, that broad story, that broad stroke, that it's really important to get connected to other people and try things, get out and use your fitness, be fit for a reason, do something.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. That message will resonate with a lot of people, I'm certain, and then maybe you can find an event or create your own event that has a similar sort of drama of racing around Iceland, but is just logistically a little bit easier to pull off. Like, I don't know, race around New England or Maine, or I'm sure.
Well, maybe the team will get together and do RAM.
Exactly. I mean, it's still logistics, but it's got to be just a tad bit easier. I mean, I don't know.
International shipping, customs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had to custom build a trailer. We had to ship the trailer over. Oh man. You had to make that so that your bikes could come on and off. Because when you think about it, when you're taking a bike off every 5 or 10 minutes,
that's a heck of a lot of work. I mean, they don't do that in the Tour de France.
No, so you're really thinking outside of the box in terms of mobility and how you're going to transport stuff. Right. Just a funny side story, what people don't realize is in Iceland also all the roads are not like we have here. Most people are pretty accustomed to riding on nice smooth pavement.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have this one section of the race called the Oxy Pass, which is a 2,000-foot climb up the side of a gravel mountain.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And then a descent that was with no guardrail and a 1,000-foot drop into a ravine. It was wild.
Character development all around. Wow. Well, that's great, Jesse. I'm glad you did it, and it's great to hear about the TruStrength program and all that you're doing for the Norway community and everyone around who's an endurance athlete. This is all great stuff. Thanks so much for coming down and telling us about it.
Fred, thanks a lot for having us again.
All right, everybody. That was Jesse Wall of TruStrength Athletics. You can learn more about their programs and services on their website. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next time.
All Things Bike is brought to you by Fitwerx, rider-first bike fitting, rider-matched bike sales. Locations in Peabody, Massachusetts, Waitsfield, Vermont, and Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. And Frame and Wheel, eBay selling services for cyclists, bike shops, and bicycle companies. Time, space, cash. Pick 3. And AD Bikes, the modern face of Austro-Daimler cycling and the bike company of the future.